everybody. Thank you for tuning in. We are the Real Short Box Live Edition. My name is Donald. I am here with Sir Kevin, of course, and right next to me here is one movie aficionado, Janet Lee Rodriguez. Thank you for joining us, Janet. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And then just down below we have David. David will be introduced a little more formally by Kevin here in a moment. But I just wanted to say hello to everybody. Thank you for being on and watching us. And also really quickly, thank you to our sponsor, Splattered Frog Brewing Company, and to Half's Hot Sauce. You can always check them out. Go to splatteredfrog.com or halfshotsauce.com and check them out. You put in the coupon code for Splattered Frog. You put in the coupon code SHORTBOX. Save 20% off your order. And for Half's, if you put in the coupon code Donald Hiccups, yes, Donald Hiccups, you will save 10% off your order on their lovely hot sauces. So check them out as well. Otherwise, that's it. We're going to get rocking and rolling. I'm going to let Kevin take it over while I do some stuff in the background. Kevin, take it away.
You are all here. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening to all of you in the 24 time zones on planet Earth. Welcome to the most powerful, most righteous, and entertaining show on YouTube, the Real Short Box live stream. First, let me introduce the executive producer and co-founder of the Real Short Box. He is a man from the great state of Ohio. He is Bruce Campbell's #2 fan. He is DC Comics for life. And if you have a problem with it, he might just pop you in the mouth. He was the 2000 Kent State University's Mr. Beefcake. And he was also the 2019 North Hollywood's Best Looking Man of the Year. He is always socially lubricated. He walks like a duck and he talks like a duck. He is the original Donald.
Thank you. I appreciate you all.
Next, we have another person, a fine lady from the great state of Ohio. She represents the spectacular city of Cincinnati. She is a talented actress and artist. She was the 2019 West Los Angeles Cubana of the Year. She is the Baroness of Theater Performances, the Duchess of many of your hearts, a great and powerful Gemini, a great friend of the Real Short Box. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you the jubilant and jazzy Janet Big Money Lee Rodriguez.
Shucks.
And last, but certainly not least, a man who was once a guest on the Real Short Box a couple of years ago. He is a man from the great Bay Area of this great state of California. He is also one of the great all-time arc light leaders of the 21st century. He is a man who is an esteemed father, an esteemed husband. He is also one of the greatest solar builders in the United States today. A successful man, a happy man, a very talented and wise man. He knows his pop culture, and he loves Marvel Comics. Please give a warm introduction to the deliciously loving and also the man, David Daniberg.
Good to be on. Thank you, Kevin.
Problem. And of course, I am your humble podcaster, the Grand Master of the Jedi and Vulcan Arts, your Supreme Chancellor, Dr. Kevin.
Dr. Kevin, what's the prognosis, sir, on tonight's podcast?
The prognosis is we're doing something very interesting and unusual. We are doing a combination of a review of the Black Panther Wakanda Forever movie, but we're also going to have a very interesting debate between our esteemed guest, David Denenberg, and, of course, the executive producer of the Real Short Box, Mr. Donald McKinney III.
Okay.
Oh, okay. It's a debate.
Maria's on. Everybody say hello, Maria.
Hey,
Hello,
Maria.
Maria.
You rock.
Currently, she's it. We took 2 weeks off. I get it. We took 2 weeks off, and then we said we're coming back. and then we're like almost a half hour late. I totally get it, guys. I'm sorry. It is what it is. Shit happens when you party naked. You know what I'm saying? But hopefully we'll get more people. Also, I feel like maybe less people are turning in right now because they haven't seen the movie yet. So this kind of a live show to me is more of a show that's going to take off after it's aired. Like, once it's viewable on YouTube, people will go, oh, hey, you know, I now have an opinion on this. I wonder what they thought of this. Mm-hmm. So that's probably why. Enrique has just popped on. Hello, Enrique. Yes, there will be spoilers. What's up, brother Enrique? There definitely will be Black Panther Wakanda Forever spoilers tonight. It's just the way it is. We have to in order to talk about stuff and not kind of tiptoe around everything. So let's kind of get started with the whole mythos of the Black Panther. The Black Panther is basically King T'Challa, who runs the land. He's the sovereign leader of Wakanda, the primary source of vibranium within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, that is not to be confused with adamantium, which is what covers Wolverine's claws and skeletal pieces. And also, if I recall, Kevin, is Captain America's shield. It was also adamantium originally.
Yes, originally, that's correct.
It was adamantium, you guys, always produced by like the military or whoever the people were that put it into Wolverine. How did they get adamantium, or do we know where it came from?
Here's the thing with the adamantium. The adamantium probably will not exist in the Marvel Cinematic Universe once the X-Men come over, because I have a feeling that they're gearing towards a war between countries with fighting over vibranium and wanting to use it for applicable purposes within the military. Wolverine was part of a military project, Weapon X, and therefore I believe that some vibranium will be used. Now, maybe it's combined with another element to create adamantium within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We don't know yet. But as far as the history of adamantium, it's very old. It's very adamantium, if I recall, first mentioned in a Daredevil comic. I want to say like Daredevil number 20 or 21 or something like that was the first mention. That could also, I could be confused and old, and that could also be the first mention of vibranium, but I feel like that was the first adamantium. But
one thing it could do in the MCU, adamantium could be a derivative of vibranium, possibly.
Yes. Yeah. There's a lot of things that they could do with that. So we'll see what happens. Everybody, my mom and dad's on. Say hello to my mom and dad.
Hi, mother and father McKinney.
Family.
How you doing?
And Kevin was going to say he was sorry.
Oh,
yes, of course. It's my apologies that we ran a few minutes late. So like I said I was going to start the bus, and then I was going to jump in front of it and have it roll over me.
Oh, we wouldn't want that.
I don't think that's
Unless
really
you were a
necessary.
mutant that could survive it.
I don't think it's super necessary for that. But you do you, Kevin. Whatever makes you feel better. If you feel like jumping out of a bus after you start it and rolling underneath it and then getting ran over by the tires, that's perfectly fine.
And having us film it, so it'll be a great action movie,
Right.
Hey, what's that thing that people take? Was it World Star? Yeah, put it on there or something.
Now, I have a question. Now, I know that a few of you were pretty big Namor fans. So, and this is in the chats too, if anybody is willing to, in the next live podcast show next Monday when we have it, I am giving the offer of a free nose piercing right through the septum area there, and I will put a rod through for you. So I will give a live nose piercing on the air here next week if anybody decides they would like to try it. I'm willing to do it. I just need 6 or 7 drinks and I'll be good to go.
Oh my god!
Because the sight of blood.
I assume the person getting pierced is going to need a few drinks themselves. So
I believe so.
Will there be anesthesia?
Just drinks.
No, the drinks are the anesthesia, Kevin. I mean, that's...
Oh,
Enrique is down. Look at this. We already have a volunteer, guys. Next Monday.
You should use like a needle or something.
Next
not a
Monday.
knife.
I'm jamming a blade into Enrique's nose, into his septum, and we're going to push a rod through there, and he is going to be the next king of, yes, Atlantis. Atlantis, because that's where he's from, Atlantis. We're not going with anything else. It's Atlantis, damn it. He's from Atlantis. Atlantis. Say it with me. Atlantis. Everybody. Atlantis.
Just Atlantis.
This isn't the same Atlantis. This is a new generation.
Enrique says, I need whiskey and picklebacks. Of course, Enrique. Maria says they won't be allowed to drink because it's a blood thinner. Oh, that's a good point, Maria, but it's fine. And my dad says, my mom says my dad said he will be out there on Monday. So my dad's flying out, and him and Enrique will be getting live septum piercings from me on next week's live podcast. It'll be great.
This is not good because you don't know what you're doing. First of all, you're gonna make
You don't know that. You don't know that. My sister, sir, is a cosmetologist. Think about it.
Teach you anything?
Huh?
Yeah,
shit is absorbed like osmosis, man. Like, it's in our blood. I know everything there is about hair.
You're gonna see a lot of your blood.
If you need a trim, Janet, because of too many dead ends or something, I'm happy to do that. Too many split ends, too many dead pieces of hair. The
You're
technical terms
buzz
that I know.
off all of my hair.
I'll happily trim it for you. In fact, next Monday, live on this podcast, I'm also going to trim Janet's hair.
No.
So you're doing piercings. You're also a hairstylist, a barber.
You're gonna do tattoos?
I'm doing 2 piercings, and I'm cutting Janet's hair live on the show next Monday. Tune in. It's going to be amazing.
Donald watched a lot of Edward Scissorhands as a child, so he learned quite a bit in those days.
Thankfully, no. Let's see.
Oh, gosh.
Sammy says, well, she can help you then, Donald. Help him, Donald's sister. Janet, do not let him touch your hair. Oh, come on, Sammy.
Thank you, Sammy. I definitely won't. But
your hair is precious.
Your hair, Donald. I'll cut off your mustache.
How dare you? I'm going to curl this beauty. It's coming. The day is coming. Look at that. Oh, it's going to look glorious. It's coming.
Turn you into a super villain.
I will. I'm going to take over the world. I'm going to start with Kevin's going to come home to his room, his apartment, and I'm going to be there, and I'm going to be like, I've just taken this over. And then he'll have to move. And then I'll do that with other people as well. It's going to be a fantastic thing.
Overall, Donald, you're going to let us know, overall, what do you rate this now? Black Panther, Wakanda. What's your ABC rating?
Out of 10? Or you want me to...
Or ABC.
I feel more comfortable giving a 1 through 10 rating.
Okay.
I gave it a 6. 6.5.
Okay.
Really? Wow.
I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. But I did appreciate it for many reasons. So about a 6.5, I'd say, is a fair.
What is the overall rating currently? Is it like, has anyone peaked at the Rotten Tomato or audience meter?
Last time I checked, it's like 84% from the critics and like 94% from the audience.
That's great. Wow.
Solid.
Yeah, that is good. I really enjoyed it. I don't know. I'm high up there with it. Maybe 8 or 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I give it an 8 personally.
Okay.
And you enjoyed it, Dave?
I did. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was almost as good as the first one. Maybe not quite as good, just because the first one was, groundbreaking in a lot of ways. But yeah, I would give it like an 8 probably as well.
Okay. So, as far as the overall story, the opening of this story basically deals with Chadwick, which played T'Challa, his passing as the Black Panther in the film, and we deal with the ramifications and the repercussions of that almost instantaneously. We start to see Shuri throwing herself into the science and not dealing with a lot of anything from the outside world. and we see everybody has froze on the screen right now, but me, it looks like, which is interesting. So I'm wondering where everybody went. Yes, everybody froze. Do I still have people in the chats right now viewing this? Because I don't know. I just start talking and everybody froze. I feel like I have the power of everything currently. Let me check in on something real quick. Everybody still there? Am I the only one here? Okay, I've lost everybody. Okay, awesome. I'll just do this on my own. It's cool. I'm gonna put in my headset here, and we're gonna rock it. So here we go. All right. Okay. All right. Hello, Gerald. Good to see you in the chat, buddy. They are dropping like flies. Let me see if I can call some of them back in. And we'll go from there. Da-da-da. I don't know where they went. Do-do-do. This is like a group call. So they're kind of gone. They're just kind of gone. They'll drop at the same time. It's really weird. Yeah, I'll do impersonations of the other three. Brother, with your high intelligence and your spectacularly large income, do you think perhaps that you overevaluated the Black Panther film, in that it wasn't quite as good as you thought it would be, brother? Okay, who is that? Like, that's a good one, right? That's a good one. Okay. This was not my plan all along, Sammy. I'm being serious. I think if I was impersonating Janet, I would just get closer to the screen. Like that. I think that's a pretty good one right there. Yeah. I like that one. And then if I was David, geez, I don't know. David's a wild card on this one. It's hard to tell. But yeah, everybody's gone. Let me see if I can bring them back in one by one here. So let me invite them back in. I think the Skype connection may have been lost to them. So let's see here what I can do. I might have to... This is a rough one. Because it literally dropped everybody all at once. Man, this is a tough one for me. Shit. I'm having tonic water and a hard time apparently. Let's see. It's weird that everybody's still, like, I'm still running live, but everybody else is gone. I'm not drinking You can't drink vibranium. I don't feel like you can drink vibranium. Trying to pull in the participants, and it's not letting me. So here's what I have to do, unfortunately. We'll see. Bear with me, guys, because it might end up, I might have to close this one out and restart it, right? I don't know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut down the other program and just run this program that's going along right now, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, because it's officially completely froze. So I'm going to quit that. I'm going to force quit this. Now I'm still live. Okay. All right, there we go. And I'm going to call them back in, and we're going to go from there, okay? We're all live still, so that's good. And you get to see more of my everything. I'm it, right? I'm the star right now. I'm the star. I'm the star. I'm the star. I want you all to know that I'm the star. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. I'm the captain now. I'm the star. I'm the star. I did pay my cable bill, Dad. Thank you. Yes, I did. I'm starting the program back up, so we'll see as they start coming in how this works. So bear with me on that. It looks like it's trying to pull Janet back in, so that's a good sign, right? That's a good sign. It could be. We'll see if that's what we can do. All right. So I'm going to call Janet back in here. Let's see. Okay, well, bear with me, guys. I'm so sorry. And inviting her in. And we'll see. Okay. Let's see. Oh, there. We have Janet, everybody.
Yay! We kept thinking we were on the show.
No.
We kept talking to each other.
You guys were not on the show. You were so gone.
Obviously, you're the organizer. We should have figured it out faster.
I'm inviting you all back in one by one. I was doing a one-man show. I actually did a very good impression of Kevin. I tried my impression of you. It was not so great. I'm going to be real with you. But I did my best. I just got really close to the screen. That's about as...
We'll have good things to repeat. I think they will on what they said.
All right, so I'm inviting Kevin. Adding Kevin back in. Let's see if we can add Kevin. They don't have any embarrassing stories to share about me, Sammy. I am sorry.
Sorry. Yes.
And Kevin is back in. All right. So we have Kevin. And now we are inviting David. And let's invite David. And adding David back in. And let's see if we can get everybody back on the show. And we can pick up right where we left off. I'm so sorry.
What was the last thing that you were saying, Don?
I don't know. I mean, like, when you guys were gone, I was saying a lot of shit. I'm going to be honest.
It was David. He was talking about our mutual friend Matt, how he didn't like the movie. He felt that T'Challa wasn't honored properly.
I wasn't part of that conversation, Kevin.
Okay.
We had our own little conversation that we didn't realize was just us three. So
it was... Gotcha. Okay, David's back, but he's not on, so let me add you back in. There. David's back in. Everybody's name is switched, so yay. Couldn't have just been two people's names. It has to be every single freaking person's name.
That's fine. Who am I?
You were David, and David's Kevin, and nice. Kevin was Janet. So...
Are you blaming us on the Russian trolls, Donald, for what happened?
Yeah, we kind of picked up on your thought, Donald, and I don't know if it's exactly where you were going, but we did kind of get into the whole portrayal of T'Challa's death in the beginning, and there's obviously polarizing views on that.
Okay. Yeah. The whole Shuri, like I said, she was diving into the science of it and kind of forgetting who she was. And I think the film primarily is about her kind of finding herself again as an individual in who she is, outside of just a part of her brother's world, because her brother is now gone. And I feel like there's a lot to deal with and a lot to unpack when it comes to loss within this film and rebirth too. So I guess we should get started with, when we discuss the opening. Who loved the opening? Who thought the opening... It was basically a soft opening before the Marvel title popped up, and it had a real nice tribute to Chadwick.
Oh, I did get to see some of that, but I was a little bit late. Say how it looked again.
Basically
go ahead, Kevin.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, basically it starts out the very beginning. You can tell, you see Shuri in her lab, and you see that, DNA helix, and her trying to do everything she can to save T'Challa's life. Now, of course, obviously you don't see T'Challa. You just know, what's happening, that he's somewhere in a medical base somewhere, and she's trying to save him. Of course, he has some kind of illness, so kind of playing on what happened in real life. And, she's freaking out, trying to find a way to save him. So she's trying to recreate a heart-shaped herb. And
That's
unfortunately,
right. Yeah.
yeah, you saw that later on. Unfortunately, it was only up to, you know, a very small percentage. And so she asked the computer, just print it so I could just try it anyway. Unfortunately, by the time it was printed, Queen Ramonda came in and had that look in her face where it's too late.
Played by the amazing
Angela Bassett.
Oh,
We just discussed
Yeah.
we just
We
discussed
talked to Angela
that.
too.
Okay, so
She deserves an Oscar nomination.
Yes, absolutely. The one person in this film that carried the entire weight of everything on her back, it was Angela Bassett. Angela Bassett in this film was phenomenal. And might I add, fucking ripped. Like, just goddamn, like,
She's known to be like that.
She's always like that. She used to come to the ArcLight sometimes, and I would see her. She'd always look good, always toned.
She would bench press you or pick you up and give you a big bear hug, right, Kevin?
Pretty much.
She'd always come in with her family, right? She had a couple kids, and wasn't that?
The last time I saw her, she just came in like with a friend.
Oh, okay.
Maybe she came in sometime with the kid. I have no idea.
And I was talking about how awesome she was as Tina Turner in What's Love Got to Do with It.
Andrea says it was very sweet and touching. The moment, the opening sequence. I agree. They didn't add any of the Marvel music. It didn't go do 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 do
right.
do do.
No fanfare. No
Complete
fanfare.
Quiet. And they just played the little images on the Marvel that was all to do with Chadwick, and I thought that was fantastic. Really, really nice, very respectful way to show love to the actor that brought the character so vividly to life. And by the way, Andrea just says, by the way, Angela is 64.
Yeah, she looks great.
Yes, it's amazing.
She's been ripped since she was Tina Turner.
That's right.
Well, Gerald, I think she played Tina Turner. I don't think she actually was Tina Turner. Although, correct me if I'm wrong, it's possible.
She shapeshifted into her
that Angela
she's
Bassett
from the Marvel
is
universe.
Actually Tina Turner. She plays Tina Turner. Like, Tina Turner's not really a person. It's a character played by Angela Bassett.
Here's a question for you, panel. Would it have been kind of weird if like what did folks want, like for Black Panther to speak or to have like some sort of computer image of him? Was that like the alternative?
Well, one controversy was some people just felt, you know what, just recast him, just find a new T'Challa, and it's like, okay,
so
if Thunderbird Ross, if Harrison Ford is playing, the new Thunderbird Ross, why couldn't they do that for T'Challa? But they have to understand the context. Ross is just a backup character. Great actor, William Hurt, but he's not the main guy. This is the main person. So it's different. You're comparing apples and oranges.
You are in a way. I will say that a lot of people, one particular gentleman from a group I'm a part of, like within a day or two of Chadwick's passing, said, okay, let's talk recasting.
That's cold-blooded.
To which I responded, and I said to the admins, I said, this needs to be taken down. Like I said,
you can say let his body get cold.
Yeah,
in the ground.
Seriously.
I just thought it was a bit disrespectful. It'd be like if you're one of your family members passed and be like, okay, let's talk recasting. What? Are you kidding me? Like, there is no recasting. There's no recasting.
Not Uncle Bob.
Yeah, not Uncle Bob. We can't recast Uncle Bob. Everybody has an Uncle Bob, by the way.
In comic books, there's always going to be a different kind of person to take over. Like the Blue Beetle, you had Ted Kord, you had those other people play the Blue Beetle. So there's no reason to have him be recast. You can always have a new Black Panther.
Although I will say, you can never recast Ted Kord because he's already been cast so perfectly. I don't know if the audience here knows. I created a web series called The Blue Beetle Ted Kord Returns. It's on YouTube. You can check it out.
It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, kind of a big deal.
And then Donald, who was the other guy though? The Hispanic Blue Beetle. What was his name?
I don't believe there is one. I don't think that happened. I think that was all like I had a fever dream, and I think that probably
a different Blue Beetle.
Yeah.
Well, there is Dan Garrett. There's Dan Garrett, the Golden Age.
The original, the OG, yeah. But that after Ted, there's nothing.
That is what comic books do. So you don't have to have someone be T'Challa. You just have a new Black Panther. That's how comic books do it.
Mm-hmm. And Anita points this out. She said sometimes the main character just needs to be allowed to die. It allows for growth and change in the sequels. She's not wrong here, but it gets a little complicated because, okay, so we need to unpack this, and I know I'm going to be jumping around a little bit, but we have a part where somebody takes on the mantle of the Black Panther again, a new character, like not a new brand new character, but a new Black Panther, right? A new person as Black Panther. And then they do this end mid-credit scene that just blows that shit out of the water. And I want to get to that as soon as we can. But right now, let's go back to the beginning. We're at the beginning. We see the soft opening, and then we start dealing instantly with these ramifications with the Black Panther being gone. Angela Bassett is in a meeting, a government meeting. We have the U.S. representative there. We have the France representative. We also have a attack on a boat that takes place almost simultaneously. It feels like with like these people. Okay, so I'm sorry. Let me drag it back just for a second. Before the United Nations kind of meeting type thing, we have an attack on a boat, and it shows these characters kind of going underwater, and they're finding out that there's vibranium in the sea, and it's not part of Wakanda, and they're like, oh my god, the applications for this, we can use this for so many things. And of course, everybody thinks war applications, for war, for protection, right? And it just so happens that it was a team of Frenchmen, kind of, that are like a U.S. team that's behind it, that's trying to find this vibranium, and they get attacked. They get attacked by something under the sea. What is it? Who is it? They think it's the Wakandans, but nobody's sure 100%. Simultaneously, one of the facilities of Wakanda, where they process, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, where they process vibranium or do tests on vibranium, is attacked. And it was by the French government's elite squad trying to get to the vibranium. So we cut to this summit meeting, and the Queen, Angela Bassett plays the Queen, is talking to the United Nations basically and saying, hey, we will not stand for attacks. You think because we don't have a Black Panther, we are weak. We are not weak. And we will show mercy, but just this once. And then they walk in all these French forces that the fighting troop of Wakanda, all those female warriors, come in with these big old French dudes like in cuffs and stuff, and puts them down on the ground, be like, bend down, get on your knees, and then shows them that they will bow before them. They will bend to their knee because they are not the weak country. Every other country is weak around them, but they are not the weak country, and they need to be aware of that. So it's Angela's, her character is the Queen's very gentle reminder of the strength of Wakanda and not to encroach upon their rights. And I thought that
also to show that we won't be colonized either, like they've done other countries.
Right, and I thought it was super smart, super well done. And there is a lot to do with that, Kevin. A lot to do with colonization, a lot to do with enslavement and stuff like that we touch upon within this film, which I found very fascinating.
Colonialism.
What was her phrase about, like, I'm not afraid of like the weapons or whatever that come from vibranium. I'm afraid of what you people will do with it.
Right. Exactly. I'm afraid of the people holding the weapons, basically, is what she's saying. And it's smart to say that. Now let's go to the chats real quick. Enrique says, Blue Beetle plug. Yes. Maria says, I feel like it framed the whole movie. The movie was an exploration of grief and how different people grieve and grow in the absence of someone important and loved in their lives. And I totally agree. And to be honest, sitting there watching the film with other people that I know in life have lost somebody, and understanding that they're processing this film different than me.
With me,
I may not have enjoyed the film as much at that moment, but I feel like this film was an important film to be had and to be made, and I feel like it touched upon a lot of elements of that I think is very important to a lot of people. So in that aspect, I extremely appreciated it, which is, my ranking of it, which is why when Janet asked me, I was like, I don't really want to rank it right now, to be honest, because I don't feel like I've processed it fully, and I don't feel like that it's a film that I'm technically ready for in that element. So it's gonna hit different with everybody, and that's not something you can say about every film. It's a comedy. You either laugh or you don't laugh, or it's a drama. It's either good or it's bad. This was a different type of film, which is why it's hard for, I think, anybody to totally criticize it and tear it apart, and for everybody to completely praise it and say it's the best thing known to man. I feel like it's gonna just hit different for people, and it is what it is. I don't feel like it needs critiqued. I feel like it needs to just be what it is, and that was a very good point, Maria. Ultraman Magnus says his son is going to come from the future like Trunks and be the new T'Challa. We will unpack that soon, sir. We will unpack that soon. And by the way, it was good to see you at the shop, man. I had no idea that was you. so it was really good to see you stop by at the shop and say hello. It was nice to see you. And Andrea says, it bothers me that they cast Lake Bell and then she's gone.
Oh.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, she's great. She's great on the ship. She's one of the scientist ladies from America. And then, like that, they just snapped Thanos' gauntlet ring thing, and then she was gone throughout the whole thing. She's just gone. There's nothing of her.
Was she the one that got toasted on the helicopter?
Yes,
she was trying to escape?
Her.
Yeah,
that was her. Anita says, I'm okay with a new person stepping into the role. Black Panther was never about one certain person, but something protective that extends beyond the limitations of one person being that person. I agree. I think we're seeing that also with Captain America. It's a little harder, I feel, with Captain America, because Captain America is a little more well-known. And there's different feelings behind Captain America. So that one's a little tough when the Falcon kind of stepped into the role.
Mackie.
Yeah, Anthony Mackie stepped into the role of Captain America. It made it a little harder, I think, for people to process. But we'll see where that goes, because there is a fourth Captain America movie coming, and he's going to be the star. Anita says, love the strength of women throughout. Gerald says, that's one of the reasons I liked it so much. It hit a little too close to home. Dino says, let's face it, the movie was just about Disney cashing in on the Black Panther name. I don't know. Ultraman says, good to see you too. I mean, let's unpack this a little bit. Anita says, love the strength of the women throughout. Okay, so here's something that was interesting to me. I watched the full film, right? I watched it with Kevin and Janet and with Maria as well. And we all watch this film, and I get out, no problems for me. Kevin comes up, and Kevin says, so there's a lot of hate behind this film. And I said, what do you mean? He said, a lot of people hating on this film. I said, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And then Kevin says, what did you say, Kevin?
Oh, I said basically when I was looking at some online reviews and some different sites, they were talking about how they felt that it's another woke movie where women are basically belittling the men, and women are just too dominant in the movie. The men are just made to, became like secondary figures. And also, obviously, some, I guess kind of like the reversal of things. Some people just don't like that, I guess, seeing effectively European or white characters felt like they're being put down by these people of color characters, being dominated by those characters.
It's interesting because once you said that, in my head, I thought about like instances where one of the female characters was dominating one of the male characters and kind of made the male character Valentina, which is played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus, which ends up being Martin Freeman's ex-wife, which is surprising because she's going to be running the Thunderbolts division, basically. And she's in charge of Martin Freeman's character. as well, which I thought was fascinating. So adding that
Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
right
Yeah.
to where he had to basically bend the knee to her, and then you had in this film you had Namor bending the knee to Shuri, and then you also, what was the other one I said, Kevin, really quickly? It was like right off the top of my head. There was one more.
Was it you mean? What was the other person?
The scientist kind of bending the knee to the girls,
Riri Williams.
or does that not count?
No, I don't
She
think
was,
that was it.
you know.
I don't think, but
Okay.
anyway, there was like three big instances. Oh, I think it was M'Baku. M'Baku kind of like
yes,
taking-
that's right.
taking-
Shuri, they kept kind of telling her what the
taking
deal is.
a back seat again to Shuri.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I found fascinating because in the first one he was so aggressive, and in this second one he's much more complacent. He's but it's interesting too because they give you this idea of, well, if you allow all the people from the ocean front to come to your mountains and stay, all the refugees, that'll curry favor for you. What kind of favor? Like, what are we building towards here? There's all these little seeds that they're planting, but we don't know what they're building towards. And that, I think, is the film's biggest problem, is we don't know what they're building towards. And that's what kind of bothered me throughout the whole thing, is they're planting all these little seeds, but not much is sprouting. And
that is one of the flaws of now these current Phase 4 MCU films. You know, there's buildings to some future Avengers movie, but they're not doing it as well as they did in the first three phases. So it could cause confusion. Like, okay, where are we going? We're going to go into. We're going to do Doom War, perhaps, for Black Panther 3, or we're going to do, where is this going?
right now,
So I
Dino,
I really can say too that I like the animosity between, I would say, Namora and Shuri. But then it got wrapped up too quickly at the end when they changed, their mind about where they were coming from. What was their motivation, to go to war or to make peace? Right? It just got wrapped up.
It
really
is, yeah.
fast.
It got wrapped up and kind of bow tied pretty quickly, and we'll get into that a little bit. Dino, just a quick thing. I want to be sure. You're saying that the movie was just about Disney cashing in on the Black Panther's name. Now, are you talking about the film itself being created, or are you talking about the end credit scene where we find out a little tidbit about what happened to T'Challa's wife, and what happened within that family dynamic? So if you could specify, that would be great, so I know where to go with the discussion when we move a little further into this. So we start out with that. We're back to the council meeting and everything, and then we go back to basically kind of back to Wakanda and dealing with what Wakanda has to deal with. We're revisiting Shuri again and the struggles that she has, trying to still process the death of her brother, and
The lake scene.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think you're leading to the lake scene where her and her mom, Ramonda, they go to the lake, quiet scene at night. They're supposed to perform this special ceremony. Hey, look, you need to burn, the clothing of our loved ones, in this case, of a part of T'Challa's raiment. And she does a part, but then Shuri didn't want to do it. And then she's talking about wanting to burn the world and the anger she has because of his passing. Right. And then all of a sudden, you have instead of a lady in the water moment, you have a man in the water moment. Where a more
badass moment.
Yeah, he makes his appearance in
Wakanda. The Aztecian dad bod appears. Feet.
Yeah, so he comes out. It's like, wait a second, how did you get here?
What
how
an
did you
intro,
get past our shields? Yeah, like, how'd you get past our Wakandan shields? And then he realized, wait a second, he's wearing like Wakandan metal. I'm sorry, vibranium metal. So they're confused, like, how is this possible? Because they're under the impression that they're the only civilization on Earth that has access to vibranium.
Is interesting because they're a country that prides themselves so strongly upon this one big thing that they have that makes them special, that makes them different from the outside world. And they have to now unpack the realization that they're sharing this.
A second meteorite came to Earth that they weren't aware of.
with an underwater community that they never knew existed. Yeah, it is exactly like an alien came down from Earth and said, "We have vibranium too." Only they came from the depths of the ocean, and it makes complete sense because it's Namor, and he's stating, unfortunately, we also have vibranium, much like you, but because your unwillingness to share it with the world, they are digging deeper into our ocean, into my community, and looking for it. And they found it. And now that they found it, it's like drilling for oil. They're going to continue to do so. And they're going to ruin my world. And then there's confusion. Right. Eventually he takes Shuri to his underwater kingdom. And she gets shown by him that vibranium is a huge part of their world. It's life-bringing to them.
And their culture.
Yeah. And
I just want to ask you guys, too, from that technical green screen kind of thing, did you guys just wish to see him sort of fly sideways, maybe a little bit more like Superman? I wasn't as into him being like up and down, just standing as he was floating in the air.
Kind of like Tinkerbell? Kind of like a...
Yeah. Do you guys want him to like turn sideways a little as he flies?
Now I'm going to think about that. Like that every time I watch the movie.
Yep.
Right.
His nickname is Tink. Actually, his nickname is Tink in there. Anita says, few movies that I know put women in that kind of position. We just literally got a film right before that with, what was her name? It was, she plays...
Which character?
She plays Amanda Waller in Suicide Squad, right?
Is it Viola Davis?
Viola Davis. Didn't we just get The Woman King? Didn't we just get that film?
Right.
Earlier in the month?
Yeah.
So Anita...
Right, and I was also controversial.
The month of November is your month. Like October, November, you should be well aware of these films for sure, because there is a lot... Barbarian, too. There's a lot of strong women films, female positive films coming out right now that you might not be aware of. So definitely check out some of these films that are in your local theater, for sure.
Well, on the subject of Donald, because they've been touching on it in the chat as well, I will say that that's something that I thoroughly enjoyed about the movie was, strong female presence, and it's
intimidating
important
for some people.
It's important to note because I feel like Marvel has been trying to do this in other movies, and I personally didn't think that they did it super well. Like you might recall going back to Endgame, the awesome scene where all of the ladies of the universe like collectively kick someone's butt. Right. And it just felt a little bit forced, like almost like this is a female empowerment moment.
Right.
This felt very natural, this movie, and Shuri was just like owning it, and it just felt right. It felt normal. She was powerful, and they didn't have to like make it seem contrived.
Yeah. Too many winks and nods.
She was so well cast.
I will say, Namor is probably my least favorite part of this film. I know Rudy says the Mayan and Aztec influence was awesome. Maria agrees. I've actually have a picture here of probably the best picture to depict our leader of the underwater world, who I think personally, like the original version of Namor was great, but this guy, there we go, much better. Look, I've just made it perfect for you guys. You're welcome. I've put Aquaman up on the screen. That's who we should all be thankful for. Namor he's okay, but we've got Aquaman, guys. Aquaman.
Namor came first. Came first.
You know what?
Right.
And I figured you would say that. And Kevin, I created a website for you. I actually set it up. It's called NamorTheSeaBitch.com. So if you go to this website, there is quite a few bits of information about Namor being a bitch on there, and I think you might enjoy it.
Look, I'm hating on Marvel again. In
Jason Momoa's Aquaman character is cool. I have nothing against it, but remember, the Submariner Namor is older.
Okay,
came out in 1939.
Kevin, I actually created a second website. It's called KevinLovesSeaBitches.com. You can go there and you can find out all about why Kevin loves Namor so much. A lot of information on there also.
Well, if anything, Jarrett, who just joined us in the chat, he's going to counteract what you just said.
He could try. But let me tell you something. Aquaman, pound for pound, does it better. I'm just saying. I mean,
my God.
if I'm in a room with somebody and like I'm gonna get beat up or something, I want to know who has my back. None of you are picking Namor. Let's be honest, because that sumbitch killed somebody's mom. He's not a nice dude. Aquaman, he's a nice dude. And he's a badass.
You just
He's
know
got
where
your
he's
back.
coming from.
Right, yes. You cannot predict Namor. You can predict Aquaman very well. That's the difference.
You didn't answer my question, too.
What was your
Would
question?
you have liked to see Namor go sideways like Superman, or you were fine with him flying, standing straight up?
Ching, 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 ching. That was weird. It was weird to me.
It was weird, him popping out of the water like that and then just staying like floating.
Yeah, it was a little different. It was a little weird.
The wings apparently just go north-south. There's not a lot of east-west feather action.
It seemed like those wings aren't big enough to support him or something either. They're not like he has to use a lot of his core.
That's been a big argument. Yeah, that's been a big
flying.
argument in the comic books for ages. In fact, there was like people that wanted them to just altogether get rid of the wings. They didn't want the wings, period. They were like, the wings are stupid. Like, in all honesty, like who thought of like, let's put wings on his ankles?
Well, it came from Mercury, probably from the Greek mythology. Because
I think like the FTD flower.
Mercury's or Nike's wings.
I mean, you're probably right, Janet. I mean, you're probably right. But why would you mix Poseidon-esque attributes with that? It's like you just took the two and
Nike.
I guess somebody was just like, let's just take these two and smush them together, and then we've got something. It's an odd choice.
Also, if you see like Mercury or any of them in that movie Hercules, the Disney movie, he's a really skinny guy who is easily more supported by those wings. But you have this big bulky guy, that's not going to do the trick.
Right. Let's see. Andrea says the female scene in Endgame was dumb. Captain Marvel was also very forced. Captain Marvel's terrible, and she should go away. Jarrett says Imperious Rex slander. We don't need any more Momoa of that guy. Enrique says, yeah, it felt forced. I think they should have made a Black Widow movie so much sooner. Absolutely.
Yeah.
By the way,
I
really enjoyed the Black Widow film. I think I put it.
It was fun.
It's fun.
At least in the middle, if not higher up. I think it's a really solid, fun film, but I think you all need to give it another chance.
And Florence Pugh was great.
Jared says that guy brought the pathos and danger of Namor like nothing else. Oh, I could think of a few things that could bring more pathos and more danger, sir. Dino says Aquaman is a Submariner ripoff. Yeah. You know what? But let's talk about that, because who talks about Man-Thing more than Swamp Thing? Nobody, really, until this little short that came out on Disney+. Swamp Thing is the far superior character as far as the storytelling is concerned. So it's just all about who does it better. I mean, do you want me to bring up Doom Patrol? Because the Doom Patrol technically came out before the X-Men. I could talk about that and say the X-Men are a big ripoff. But we all know that the X-Men do it better. So there's that, too. You know, you got to keep that in mind. But I, in all fairness, I love them all. I do very much enjoy all these characters. Unfortunately, I just had the biggest struggle understanding the actor that played Namor.
Really?
And
you can understand his accent.
His accent really.
Yeah.
There's certain, and this is with everybody, Kevin. There's certain accents that just don't register well. Like, I can understand a British accent, no problem. Scottish accent.
One thing is too is that you can't go like your voice can't go down, and he would get quieter sometimes, and he would slide his words together. So he needed to enunciate and go a little slower and clearer, and then I think we could understand him.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Gerald
says, we learned in theater acting.
Gerald said, wasn't there something going on in 1939 that was maybe a little distracting? I'm not sure what that was in reference to, Gerald.
A war?
World War II started in 1939.
I get that, but I don't know what that is in reference to what we're discussing.
The guy started in 1939, like Kevin said, that who is it? Our guy Namor was established.
He was created. It was what was the comic book? It was Marvel Comics #1, if I recall. Came out in 1939. I have the cover here if you guys would like to see it.
There you go.
That's the backstory, right? They would publish Namor fighting like whatever war we were fighting in real life. Namor would I think maybe
That's what the cover looks like.
Yeah, Robocomics 1, but then just before that, he was in Motion Pictures Funnies Weekly #1.
Yeah, he's actually one of the oldest, if not the oldest, Marvel comic creations. Him and Torchy, the android version of the Human Torch, which is fascinating about that character as well. But yeah, I mean, we can bring that back to that and the history of Namor and stuff versus the history of
then
Aquaman.
I wanted to ask a question, and everybody can answer. They have that Factor X or whatever, right? The mutants. Doesn't Namor have that?
I mean, the mutant gene. The mutant gene, you mean?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But he doesn't know that, correct? He doesn't know that in this movie, that he has the mutant gene. He just knows that his mom was a human.
I don't think
he did say he did say he was a mutant. He didn't mention himself being a mutant.
Yeah, he was the one that said that, but does he know the meaning behind it? I don't think.
Probably not.
Or that other people have that same gene, because no one in his world is like him.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, he mentioned that too, because he's the only one that can breathe without the use of the mask in and out. Like he's well equipped.
They can fly. They can't fly like him.
Right. Yeah.
Do you guys think he knows that other people have what he has, or
probably not? Maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we'll get to a point as the other mutants are introduced into the MCU, and he'll find out
there will be an alternate universe Namor at some point, right?
Mm-hmm.
One would think, maybe allegedly.
Yeah, came the Conqueror. Yeah, the Avengers.
Yeah, Andrea, I don't think he needed to do another accent on top of his already accent. If he has an accent, double accents do not make it good for people trying to understand what you're saying. It was good that he was
portraying a Mayan and he is actually Mexican. Yeah.
Well, let me show you what Namor traditionally looks like, by the way. I'm going to bring this up. Now, you might not be able to see it on your end there.
You have to describe it for us.
Yeah, but let me bring that up. Old school Prince Namor right here. Very white. He looks, I'm going to tell you right
Italian.
now, this sumbitch looks like Leonard Nimoy, but very angry and ripped. That's what he looks like. He looks like Leonard Nimoy, but very angry and ripped. I always thought, honestly, Namor was kind of, how do I say it without sounding racist? Asian. Of like an Asian descent.
Oh, or Russian, like
because of
Slovak.
the way they drew the eyebrows and the eyes and things. Back then, the way they would draw that was very indicative of somebody from Japan or from China or from Thailand or from any of these, Asian countries.
Got the eyebrow.
Right, yeah.
But he was in fact Greco-Roman, right?
But yeah, I mean, he was
it's
from
basically
Atlantis.
Roman spelled backwards. That's one of the...
Yes, exactly. So... am I upset that they took it and they changed it to an Aztec kind of background? No.
Mayan.
Or Mayan, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not upset by it. I just wish that I don't know. It just, his character just felt a little flat to me. He didn't feel like he was proud so much. Like when you get Namor in the comics, he's very proud and very arrogant. The arrogance didn't come through, and the pride kind of a little bit, within his nation and his people and stuff. But I wanted to see more of that, and it made me care less about his quest, particularly once he killed the Queen.
Mm-hmm.
I was out.
I think we need to see more relationships that he has with his community instead of him just commanding all of them. We need to see actual relationships that he has.
Absolutely,
why
yes.
is he proud of his background?
Right. Yeah.
What is
build
the kind
that
of
up.
team building stuff he's doing with them?
Right. Build that up. David, you like this character. You like the Mayan references in the background and stuff. But how well versed were you in Namor's traditional history before you watched this film?
Not super well. Most of the learning that I've done has been, via reading about it, not necessarily having taken the comics in, years and years ago, like you guys. But yeah, I did enjoy it. And I thought that there was some pretty cool factors. I was a fan of the Mayan culture and the kind of the switch up, ditching Atlantis, bringing in, what is it, Locaton. I thought that it felt like it was right to me to be in, Wakanda Forever. It has the same themes. We talked about the imperialism and those things. So it just felt like it was the perfect time to introduce Namor and that world. Especially with the way I really loved the way that we saw that origin story where he goes back to bury his mom and there's all the the slave masters and whatnot, and he's just pissed off, and it kind of builds that character. You see his anger right there.
It is a very clever parallel to what the African community has dealt with, and a very smart way to show Namor's anger and why he distrusts the surface world so much. Extremely smart. I felt they should have gone a little further with it, though. We should have seen a little more. They really did Disney glaze it, unfortunately. And I felt that they could have gone a little more brutal, because by doing that, it would have made me, as a viewer, relate more to Namor's, I'm not going to be nice about this. I'm just going to do it because that's what's always been done to me.
Yeah.
And it makes more sense in his reaction in that way.
You know what would have been nice, and obviously this would have been the perfect scenario, but if Namor just got his own movie to begin with, we could have gone down those roads and
that would be
more.
better.
I'm sure it's coming.
Here's the thing, though. Disney doesn't, they're not always known for taking the biggest chances when it comes to stuff. In fact, it was Marvel that took the main chance on the Marvel Cinematic Universe themselves in partnership with Paramount. So if it wasn't for Paramount and Marvel, believing in these characters, particularly Iron Man, we wouldn't be where we're at right now, which is kind of crazy to think about. But Namor, it would have been a great thing to see on its own. Will we get that eventually? Yeah, we might. Yeah.
I think I know why. I think just like the Hulk movies, Universal still owns the rights to just like the individual movies, so it's kind of still borrowing it right now. The characters. So I think that's why.
Okay.
I mean, because the movie was already 2 hours and 40 minutes, and of course there was so much other stuff going on. Namor
At least
was
they did show him as a kid, right, when his village was getting destroyed, and then there was slavery and everything.
Right. It made you understand his background a little bit more and why he did what he did, but it didn't. His sympathetic understanding with Shuri underwater and the discussion that they had was so open and friendly that for him to say, oh, by the way, I'm just going to completely destroy your world. I'm going to kill your mother, and shit like that. It didn't work for me. These little things like that they did, while they're trying to be so sympathetic with the death of T'Challa and bring you in with that, they really make you feel like Namor is such a complete asshole that I didn't care about him. Like, I understood why he did what he did, but I didn't care about him. I was like, that's a really shitty reaction. Like, somebody hurt my family, I'm going to murder everybody. Oh, okay. It's just... Shuri said she wanted to burn the world, but she didn't. It would have been
better maybe if Shuri or the Wakandans had attacked him somehow first, and then he retaliates with the anger.
They talked
getting
about
angry
that within the film. They talked about striking first. We need to strike first. And I think it was M'Baku and his group that was behind that idea.
Right.
They were like, let's strike first. And I feel like if they would have gone that route and Shuri would have been behind it, particularly because when she went to that spirit world and she saw Killmonger, instead of her brother, instead of anybody else, her mom, anybody, she sees freaking Killmonger.
Yeah.
And then doesn't do it? I'm like, are you kidding me? Burn the world, Shuri. Let's see this shit. Like, go with M'Baku and his crew and go after Namor and give them a reason to retaliate. Give them if they just changed a few things, I feel like the film would have been chef's kiss. But just some things that happened just didn't resonate well enough with me to give me that bump that I needed, unfortunately.
Also, there's a slight, couple of plot holes within the whole MCU. And remember in the Eternals movie, this was mentioned too. Where were these people during the battle against Thanos? The sure could have used that extra help.
Yeah. Dino says, by the way, he says Namor is getting a mini-series in 2024, and it takes place
Oh,
during
wow.
World War II. It would explain why he hates the surface world. Kind of getting the cart before the horse. We
Yeah.
would like to see more of that.
Well,
Like we
if
said,
that's
a
true,
movie.
I don't know if that's been confirmed or not, or if that's just a rumor, but if that's true,
Yeah.
then that's officially like 3 huge characters from that movie that we're essentially sharing one movie, right? Because now we've got this new gal, the scientist, that is already
Riri.
confirmed a
Mhm.
Disney show, right?
Yeah, Ironheart is
Riri.
confirmed. You're Riri Williams. That's another character I want to touch upon really quickly.
Mhm.
Dodgers
Sure.
818 says Namor, all he had to do is flood Wakanda. End of movie. Maria says, I like
Flood.
the Mayan influence because in the mythology of Atlantis, it's been speculated that Atlanteans, if they existed in ancient history, had ties to Egyptian and Mayan culture. It's possible. And I would have liked to have seen that explored, honestly. Maria says, so it was cool that they made Atlantis a Mayan name and had indigenous Mayans as part of the story. Atlantis was speculated as a halfway point between Egypt and Mexico, if it indeed existed. Also,
Very cool.
cool to know, point it out. Make it something. Like, no 12-year-old kid watching this film is going to be like, oh, yeah. That's not happening in this. Point it out. Make us understand it. Like, spoon feed us a little bit with some of the stuff that we don't know, particularly with Namor. Let's unpack Riri a little bit, though, guys, since we're just, Janet brought it up. Riri Williams, yay or nay? Did you like her, guys?
I loved her. Her accent was also a little hard to understand because it was a Southern accent. But I really thought she was hilarious. I liked her relationship with Shuri. And like I was telling them when we got cut off on this call, she tries to throw a heater and a stereo, and then that spear, slices it in half.
Yeah.
Just those 3 women together were fun. I like the comedy that's in the middle of all the emotional drama and everything.
Yeah, me too. It was much needed. Even in Shakespeare recognized that when he was writing his plays, that there always needs to be a moment of levity, of comedy, of humor.
Comic relief.
Yes. Yeah, that needs to be brought in, and I totally understand that. When it came to Riri, I thought Riri was fun. I thought anybody could have been fun. If they would have brought Mike and David, I know I mentioned this earlier, if they'd have brought Michael Pena in from the Ant-Man world, and he started fast talking and shit, that would have been just as good to me as bringing in Riri Williams. And he's like, yeah, I can be in a suit. Yeah, you want me to be in a suit? Remember one time I was in a suit? Let me tell you about the one time I was in a suit. I went to Iron Man's house, and we were up in the hills, and it was great. It was like a summer day, and everything was sunshiny. And I was like, man, I want to be in the suit. And Iron Man was like, yeah, why don't you get in my suit? And I got in the suit, so it was great. Yeah. That kind of thing. I would have been behind that 110%. You didn't necessarily need Riri Williams for the comic relief, though, if you get me. But I'm curious to see where they go with her, because I felt that she was a solid actor. She did a really good job. But I'm interested to know how they're going to tie her in to Tony Stark now.
I know how to do it. You remember in Civil War, in Captain America Civil War, he was at MIT, and he was doing that whole projection scene. He said at the very end, hey, you know what, all of you, I'm going to be providing scholarships. So maybe Riri is a recipient of one of those Tony Stark scholarships at MIT.
Very clever.
There you go.
But here, again, Kevin, let me ask you something. Do you think that, and I hate to say it, but again, we have what you would call a white savior, so to speak. Do you think
in that sense?
In that sense, yeah. Do you think the audience would respond in a positive manner of this character, this white guy handing things out to somebody
they'd rather it was Shuri take
diverse.
her in
Right.
Wakanda.
In my eyes,
sense,
I would rather
way give
her
it back.
be able to have done this without any assistance of said white savior and be on her own, and then learn that maybe she can partner up with somebody or something along those lines. I don't know necessarily that we want to tie her through his money, in other words, is what I'm saying.
Maybe on the back end you could, as far as like the opportunity. In other words, she could still have those skill sets on her own that she built. She touched this stuff. Hey, I built all this stuff on my own. All I'm saying is, just on the back end, just to connect her to Tony Stark and say, hey, one of the reasons I got on MIT, they found me, and I became recipient of one of the Star Scholarships because they saw my skill set, something like that.
Ultraman Magnus says, "Wait till you hear my accent, dude. I can understand you though. I could not understand Namor to save my life. I looked over at Janet at one point, and I was like, "What is he saying?" Like, I didn't
even
know.
me, it was hard.
But you do.
A lot
I
of
can
it was
understand
his
everything you
voice
say.
would go low too, the tone of his voice, and then he wasn't going slow enough. Just speeding through his lines.
Maria says the movie is already long enough, and you want history lessons. Jarrett says Namor tearing apart Wakanda was badass. He also says Janet hates accents. And
I love accents.
And Ultraman
like
Magnus says
family.
Ironheart armor was really bad. She looked like a Power Ranger. I'm not going to argue. I mean, like,
it was okay. Well, yeah, it did blow me away.
I feel like now we have confirmed now that Armor Wars, which was a Disney Plus series, has now been made to be a film. It's going to be a feature film instead. I think that's a better choice because because I'm praying for Stingray. Here's how hard I'm praying for Stingray. Please, please, please. I love Stingray. Stingray's awesome. Stingray also uses Tony Stark's armor, his tech, to have created his underwater costume. Again, another tie that can be done with Namor. Would be awesome to see that. Like, Stingray sent in by the U.S. government or something to find more vibranium, and he fights Namor or something, and that brings in the armored suits and stuff, and I don't know. Like, there's so many possibilities.
Do we have
within this world.
Do we have any X-Men that breathe or swim underwater?
Yeah. Well,
I'm sure we do. Yeah.
What's her name? Megan, but she's like on the Excalibur team.
Yeah.
Who else? Is this like a swimmer?
Because that would be interesting to see them.
I feel like Iceman could. I mean, you know.
Oh yeah, pretty
War
much.
of the Worlds, yeah, just
Right.
surrounded in ice.
Yeah.
As long as he could keep the ice going underwater.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
like a glacier.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of them. I'm sure they could find a way to do it. Are they naturally able to do it? I'm not so sure. But I will say there is one character, probably the best character at doing that. And let me just bring that up real quick. Oh, that would be Aquaman. Yeah, there we go. Aquaman. Yeah. Aquaman.
I also wanted to talk about Namor. He ages slowly, which also Shuri was like putting two and two together. And that reminded me of Wolverine, right? That's because of, again, that gene, isn't it? That he ages so slowly.
Mm-hmm.
The mutant X gene or something.
Yeah. In this case, he's older than Wolverine.
Right.
True.
So that's really neat that she was picking up on everything. She's like, so how long have you been alive and everything? I thought that was neat.
Jarrett brings up a great point. He says, what about Atuma and Namora? I also want to bring up when Jay Lee started drawing Namor in the 90s. Here you go. There's a picture of it. I hope you all enjoy Jay Lee's interpretation of Namor in the 90s. I feel like we missed out on this in the film. We could have gotten this. Look at this greatness. It's really bad. I'm gonna be honest.
What does that look like?
He looks like a hair metal band member
nice.
that's just really bulky. And like
Whereas
has
80s
knee
and
pads
90s.
and gauntlets and shit. It's ridiculous, Janet. It's ridiculous. But it's great. I'm here for it. I bought one of these graded because I love this stupid shit so much. It's so bad. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. It was signed by the artist and everything. I was like, I need this in my life. So there's that. Let me bring up a couple other pictures. One thing I think that we didn't touch upon that I wanted to bring up really quickly was Doom War. Now, I know Kevin had mentioned that prior in a conversation. And Doom War, everybody was expecting in Wakanda Forever to get Doctor Doom.
A taste of it.
At least something with Doctor Doom, and we didn't get that. This is Doctor Doom. This is what Doctor Doom looks like. He's a scientist. He is a sorcerer. He's a genius. He's every bit Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic's equal in the MCU plus. At one point, he made himself a god so he could protect the world, so it didn't get annihilated. He's a very fascinating character. He's not a hero. He's not technically a villain. He's kind of like Black Adam in a way that he protects his own country, Latveria. And he also
Complex man.
went after Wakanda for their vibranium.
What made you think Doom was going to be part of it? I missed that.
That's it, right there. I just said it.
Because
wants
he attacked
vibranium.
Wakanda.
Yeah, he wants vibranium, and in Doom War, he attacks Wakanda for it. So my thinking was, when we got the next Black Panther, it was going to be the Doom War that we were going to get, and that was how they would bring Deadpool into the MCU, because he was part of that Doom War story. And I thought, how perfect would that be? Now, did they do that? No, they did not.
Maybe that's 3.
It was still great to think about. Yeah, I mean, it absolutely could be. They've left the door open.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time before we see him.
Yeah, it's already Doom.
Yeah.
Yes, Jarrett, that was the Charles Manson version of Namor that I just showed you with Jay Lee's art. Dead says, drippest Marvel movies to date. All the clothing, accessories, earrings, top tier, outdressed everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Costumes were great. Yeah,
they're amazing.
Like, if they don't win an Academy, at least for that, an award, like, I don't know who. It'll probably be some
that should be a done
asshole
deal.
that does some. We did an Elizabethan film, and they're wearing all corsets and dresses, and
Exactly.
I hate that so much. Get that shit gone.
I like Shuri's suit a lot, and when she was
The Killmonger version of it.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yes, that was
Killmonger.
another great point, Kevin. When she went for the Killmonger helmet, and she grabbed it, and it came up, and she picked that up.
And
That's a
also, when
fantastic
she's
moment.
scaling that ship, she kind of was swinging around like Spider-Man. It was pretty cool, and clawing things like Catwoman.
What is
So Donald, are you predicting that Downton Abbey is going to win Best Costume? Is that what you're
I wouldn't be surprised. I saw the
Richard
trailer
Gere.
for that movie, and I was like,
Richard
this
Gere.
is bullshit. Like,
That would be a show.
how is this a movie? And you know what? It did really well in the box office, too. It blew my goddamn mind.
It actually was wonderful as a movie. I liked it. They did
By the
a
way,
great job.
Another thing that we kind of glossed over, going back towards the beginning of the movie, the music score I really like, just like the
Oh
first
my
one, really
god, I
powerful.
loved it.
Yes.
Especially
Janet mentioned that.
Especially the sirens, when the Telekins, when you first saw the Telekins, and you hear that sirens, and like, just like the old mythical legend, you hear that siren call, and it just hypnotizes you.
Yeah.
The mermaids, you mean?
Yeah, kind of like that mermaid call is killing you, for jumping off the ship, committing suicide.
Let me ask you guys real quickly. Everybody here, Kevin, Janet, David, what was your favorite moment? And I'm going to ask that to everybody out there right now in the live chats. And if you're watching this on a replay on YouTube, put in the comment section as well what you thought was your favorite moment. Go ahead, guys.
You first. Ladies first.
Ladies first.
Okay,
Kevin.
me.
I mean, Janet. Sorry.
So there were a lot of really awesome moments. I mean, I love action and everything, but I am a sucker for like the emotional parts of everything. So I just really like when Shuri was like finally getting in touch with how she was, really feeling about her brother's death. I mean, she's been thinking about T'Challa the whole time. And also to say to everybody, oh, he wasn't honored enough. Well, we saw a lot of images of Chadwick Boseman. Now, maybe it wasn't done in the way our friends would have directed it, but there were many images that, they could have made that shorter, but they didn't. There were a lot of images of him. And I was really moved by that, like you said, because I lost a lot of close people in my life. My cousin, who was like my sister when she was 19, my mom, I've lost them. So I'm feeling like Shuri in these moments. So yeah, I liked when she actually was burning the white clothing in ritual to her brother, but I also just liked when I know it was all wrapping it up in a bow, but just when she was really, thinking about her mom when she died. And I think when she really turns into the Black Panther, when she goes under and is drinking, the liquid, I would say those moments, and she goes and meets Killmonger, because she just is transforming into another world, and she's still feeling like she wants revenge, and there's a lot of anger in her heart, but maybe just that point where she gets really excited to just become the Black Panther.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's ask our other guest, David. What did you think? What was your favorite?
Am I allowed to choose 7 scenes as well? I didn't.
I know.
that
I
we're-
chose like 3 or 4 different things because I couldn't decide. But
It's
just
okay.
Shuri, I
It's
love
okay.
Shuri's
As long
acting
as you're
through
fast with it, it's fine.
all the moments
No,
of
no, no, I'm
Shuri.
kidding. They were
Yeah.
all good. Mine was pretty simple, as it's well documented, and why Donald most likely brought me on tonight. I was a big fan of Namor, and I just thought that the intro scene when Angela Bassett and Letitia Wright are down by the lake, and he comes out just like a badass out of the lake. I mean, it was a pretty sweet little intro scene. I mean, of course, we saw him do the helicopter thing, but that was he was like a dark shadow, and we didn't really know. So just the way that he like emerged from the water and to the point, very just north south with his little ankle wings,
Leaving no witnesses behind.
Mm-hmm.
And then just immediately comes out like, yeah, you Wakandans think you're badass, but no, you've got a lot to learn here. And it was just cool. It was a nice interesting for that character.
Nice. Kevin, how about you?
Thinking about it, I think it'll go back towards the beginning of the movie. I felt the scene with Queen Ramonda, Angela Bassett at the UN, basically putting them on notice. It's like, look, we lost our king. Yes, we're in grief, but at the same time, we're not defenseless. You mess with us, there's going to be problems. We're still like the most powerful nation on the planet. So, heed this warning. So the way she carried herself with grace and with dignity, powerful. That's why she deserves an Oscar nomination.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it was the quiet
Nice.
moments. It was M'Baku going up to Shuri and saying, "Hey, I'm here for you to talk to. I'm a bounce board for you to understand where your head's at and where your head's going." It meant a lot to me that his character grew. Like, you saw him in the first one, and he was so strong and like, I'm the leader, I'm taking over everything. And then the second one, he's like, you know what? I am a leader, but I also understand the hierarchy of everything and what you're going through and discovering with yourself, but also with the loss. And I'm here
and
if
he's
you need
like,
me.
you're
Yeah.
not a girl because you've been through too much in your life.
Right.
You're not a girl
You're
anymore.
not a little. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, very important to me to see that. That strength in his character, and it made me really respect him. And I was like, "There's like, if Shuri steps aside, there's the Black Panther." Like, in my head, I was like, "There he is. There's the person that understands that there needs to be balance. There needs to be calm instead of a storm." And it really resonated with me a lot.
And to add to that, M'Baku later on, when he initially said, "Yeah, let's go to war," but later on he actually thought about it. You know what? He gave some really great, wise advice.
Yeah.
What?
He learned.
Don't. Let's not do that, because what's going to end up happening is we have these two civilizations going into unending war with vibranium weapons, basically.
Yeah.
So you know what? Let's try to make peace with this guy.
And to not double dip. I'm not. I mean, I'm sorry, Janet. I'm gonna pull a
This is a
Janet
family
here.
show.
Shut up, David. I'm gonna throw out again Angela Bassett. Like Kevin said, I think every scene she was in was phenomenal. When she took Shuri aside at the river and was discussing with her why she needed to let go and move on, and then the scene at the UN where she was showing the strength and the united front of her country. She killed every scene she was in. She was phenomenal. Could not agree more with you, Kevin, on that. Let me dip into the chats real quick, and then we'll discuss the ending, mid credit scene of Black Panther. Here we go. Gerald says, I loved it whenever Angela Bassett was being a badass at the UN and at the council with Okoye.
Okoye.
Thank you, Jesus. Dead says, Telecoin music intro was eerie. That's true. Maria says, yeah, for sure. Hard to pick which Angela Bassett part I love the most. Jarrett says, M'Baku getting blasted by Namor, showing how strong he was. Let's see. And Dead saying, best parts, Wakanda being boss at the United Nations and attendance Dora. Fight scene, and Namor's call to war as Ku Kalayan in Talakoan capital city. And Jarrett says, and thank you. And Jarrett says Angela Bassett's shoulders should win an award. I agree, Jarrett. I'm pretty enamored with those shoulders too, buddy. I think they're well done.
Were you enamored?
Yeah.
What they understand is like they're it looks like they're doing like a Street Fighter Hadouken.
Clam,
yeah,
Hadouken. Like they're about to do like a Hadouken when they're doing their.
Oh right.
Andrea says
that's like their,
Andrea says
WAKANDA forever. So,
yeah, exactly.
Right.
It's their sign. Andrea says Michael B. Jordan was such a nice surprise. I agree. It was really nice to see him in the film, and his stance on this, like within the spirit realm. I really enjoyed the spirit realm aspect of everything. I thought it was really well done.
I don't know about you guys, but I did a Thursday night viewing in San Francisco, so it's it was pretty hyped up crowd, IMAX, and that Michael B. Jordan scene, like people got loud and hyped up when that came on. So that was
of course.
Oh yeah, that was the loudest anybody got in the theater for us as well.
Friday
We were sitting like
we were
this
there.
though.
There you go. Yeah,
That's how we watched the film because it was
We were all in the
sold
same
out.
row.
That's how we had to watch it. It was great. Yeah, it was great screening. I watched they did the extended cut Lord of the Rings, all three of them together at the Egyptian Theater one time. I was in the front row watching it like this.
Oh my god.
And I shit you not, when I got out of the theater, I couldn't see in front of me.
Gosh.
My eyes could not focus further than where they were on the screen. So I had to sit down and wait till my eyes could readjust. It was
my gosh.
I'd never experienced that before in my life. But if your eyes are just like focused on something really close for like 12 hours, you're going to be so confused when you come out of that because you have
It's a long time.
view. Yeah, you have to view like more than 20 feet ahead of you to see down the street, and I couldn't do it. And I was like, I'm just going to sit down, and I did. It was crazy, but. Yeah, so when you go to the movies, make sure it's a short film. Don't sit clear in the front. That's all I have to say. Andrea says he should have taken his sweater off. Winky face. And Kevin's all over this. Kevin's all over the comments. Jeez, Kevin, crazy. Very active. Okay, so the mid-credit scene that we got something that was what I thought was extremely interesting. I don't know how you guys thought about it, but we got a different idea for T'Challa.
We got Junior.
Right.
Junior.
We basically got T'Challa Junior.
Yes.
So did you catch the power behind the name, like the name Toussaint? Do you understand?
Toussaint.
Yeah. Do you understand the power behind that name?
No. What is that?
It's for Toussaint L'Ouverture. He was one of the people who freed Haiti against France back in 1804.
Okay.
I was thinking of the Haiti thing. Yeah.
All right. So you gave
the
the
Haitian
angle.
Revolution. Yeah.
Gave him the
Yeah.
angle.
That's so cool.
So basically a freedom fighter name.
So basically, T'Challa's wife had a son, was pregnant, had a son, went to Haiti, birthed the son, grew him up till he was probably about 5 to 7 years old so far. Shuri went to visit her, met him then for the first time, and guess what? He's going to be the future Black Panther. He's the future
And she's
T'Challa.
excited about it. I'm glad Shuri is happy and she's not jealous.
Right.
And M'Baku and Shuri, as you know, worked out a deal. M'Baku is going to handle, the administrative duties as kind of like a pseudo king in place, while Shuri is just going to be the Black Panther and still do her scientific research and studies. And then when this young T'Challa Jr., basically, or T'Challa II is ready, he will take his place.
It's a smart marriage of these characters. It really shows you the respect that they have for each other, but also the understanding. And this is going to sound weird, but several different parties getting together and working together to unify a nation and make it stronger. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of that, but that's a thing that can actually happen. So moving forward, it's really cool to see, and I'm excited for the future of this. Really quickly, let's go to the chat. Let's see. Jarrett says, I love how Killmonger is still pissed off even in the spirit world. Andrea says, Michael B. Jordan's chest would have brought your eyes back to life. Whatever. And that's it so far. So any closing comments in the chat with you guys, or Janet, David, Kevin, anything you guys want to mention really quickly before we close this one out?
So I would just say, since we're kind of on the Toussaint, you know, I mean, I'll probably grow to like it. I'm sure that they can develop that character to a point that I enjoy it, but it felt to me a little bit kind of like, well, we just got Letitia Wright as the Black Panther, and we're already like dethroning her, kind of like, you know, setting up the potential. I don't know. I just thought,
but in the comics, she was just temporary as the Black Panther. She wasn't permanent, so it kind of works out.
Well, yeah, from an understanding from a comic book perspective, it made sense, but from a casual viewer, I get where you're from, David, on that totally.
Also, I was gonna say the soundtrack was bomb.
Yeah,
it was so great. I like this guy named Stormzy now. I'm discovering all these new artists. There was that new Rihanna song. There was this one that was like, la, 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 la. No, I can't think of who the artist is. But then there's also, like, I think he's like this Swedish guy that was the main composer, Gustafsson.
Oh, yeah.
Ludwig Gustafsson or something.
Yes.
That was awesome as they're scaling on the ship. All the like classical type of score music was great, but I want the soundtrack, because all the songs, especially with lyrics that are like hip hop or R&B, were pretty awesome. So I think that framed it really nice for me.
Agree.
Yeah. I also think Atuma and Namora were really great casts of characters. Atuma's fight scene with what was her character's name?
Riri?
Okoye?
Oh, Okoye.
Okoye.
The one with the bald, ashy head?
Fantastic. Like, I love that. I love that dynamic between the two of them in the fight. Very well done.
He kicked the spear back to her and was like, we're not done yet.
Right. Yeah. There's an honor amongst that. I appreciate it. Kevin, do you have something that you want to add?
That's it. You know, originally I was kind of hoping before the movie came out, they would have used like a multiverse version of Killmonger, a good version of him, to come in and be like the new Black Panther. But you know what? The path they're going on, I'll give it a chance, and hopefully, you know, it's for the best and that it works out.
Okay, everybody's ranking of the film, since Janet asked me, and I gave it a 6.5. Kevin, what do you give it?
I gave it an 8.
You gave it an 8? David?
8.
Also, 8 or 9. I really enjoyed it.
Okay. And that's great. I'm fine with that. I'm not mad at anybody. I will say, though,
you just didn't hit you.
Alex Banquita says, hey, everyone, got to wake up early tomorrow, but I just wanted to say hi. Hello, buddy. Good to see you.
Hey, Alex.
Thanks for stopping in.
He's always excited for me to be on.
My mom says, all I want to say is night to all, and from what I've heard about this movie, it sounds like one hell of a movie. So that's good to hear. Mom, I hope you like it.
Gotta see it, Mrs. McKinney.
And I hope you make my dad watch it, too.
It'll be out in Disney Plus in like a month, so you need to wait. That's okay.
Really quickly, I feel like we kind of glazed over Black Adam because we didn't really do a special on that. We did, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Black Adam, I felt also is worthy of a view.
I think it's a 7. I like it.
Really fun film. I'd give it probably about the same rating. I'd give it about a 6.5 to a 7. I think it's super fun, super enjoyable. The Dr. Fate is fantastic. Hawkman's fantastic. Black Adam does a really good job. The Rock does a really good job as Black Adam. I think it's solid. So if you get a chance to see it, definitely go out and support it. Guys, we're on a goddamn gravy train with Biscuit
Golden Age
right now.
The Golden Age.
We really are. We are watching superhero films come to life. I am literally getting a Blue Beetle film. Whether I get Ted Kord in it or not, I don't know. But I'm getting it. This is something, his name is going to be out there in the world now. Like, we've got Black Adam. We've got Namor. Dr. Doom's name's being whispered again. We've got Black Panther. We've got the Fantastic Four. We've got so many things coming our way. She-Hulk was a series on Disney freaking Plus. It happened.
The Peacemaker. But Peacemaker.
Peacemaker, for God's sakes. Love this world we're in right now. Don't hate on everything. Stop hating on everything. Love it. Enjoy it for what it is. Appreciate that just because you don't enjoy it, maybe somebody else will, and they'll like it.
Yes,
And it brings them
on Facebook
into
with
that
the
comic
66
book world.
comments.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you all for watching this. Thank you for being a part of this. Please subscribe, comment, like, love us. We're on all the platforms for podcasts. Our audio podcast did not come out last week. I'm sorry about that. I just ran out of time. But the new one will be firmly on the podcast platform this week. I want to thank Janet for being a special guest tonight. I want to thank David for taking the time out to debate with me on Namor.
Mr. David.
I want to thank Kevin for loving his sea bitches so much. And I want to thank you, the audience, for being a part of this. We really appreciate it. We appreciate all of you. Please view our sponsors, Splattered Frog, Half's Hot Sauce. Take some time to visit. Check out what they have to offer. Use the discounts. Grab something for Christmas, for God's sakes. Enjoy yourself. Live your life. And thank you so much for being a part of us. And if we don't see you out and about anytime soon, perhaps we'll see you
At the fierce, strong, dark, and sometimes violent comic book shop.
Good night, everybody.